Oh man, it's just one of those albums that I discovered at exactly the right time in my life. It's been so influential, and I just learned so much from it, from what is possible with music. I think Steven Wilson, like you said, is just a genius who is really good at finding the balance between creating interesting music and still making it sound like music that's very digestible and sounds very real. And yeah, when I was getting more into metal, like at the age of 17, 18, there were these few friends I had who were the prog heads. And I had always wondered, as someone who was listening to Metallica and Megadeth and Testament, what the big deal was, because I just didn't really get it that much. And there were these few bands that always came up. It was always Dream Theater, it was Opeth, and then Porcupine Tree was also always on that list. So
Mm.
I just decided to check it out one day. And ironically, this was in the age of iPods and digital downloading of music and all that stuff. It's ironic because that's kind of what the album is arguing against. But
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I went to the library very often to rent CDs, and then of course put them on my iPod so I could listen to them for longer. And yeah, I discovered them that way. Actually started off with their first album. Kind of made sense to me to just start with their debut record, which was so weird, and
Mm.
still love that so much because it was my introduction to the band. But I guess a few months or so later, I discovered this album, and what a ride, man! I listened to it a lot in the car. I remember when I did road trips with one of my best friends, and we just go for a drive and listen to music. We love to do that, and that was always one of the first albums we listened to, and it's just so beautiful and immersive, and everything about it is just perfect from beginning to the end. But yeah, it just made me realize that music can be so much more than even what my favorite band of all time is Led Zeppelin.
Mm.
But they didn't have these types of albums. It's completely different. This is a story that's being told. It's not a collection of songs.
Is your favorite Porcupine Tree record?
Yeah, yeah.
What would you say would be like one A or like, two, three or so, if you could even pick?
Oh, probably In Absentia, number two.
Okay.
And for nostalgic reasons, I'll say On the Sunday of Life, the debut record.
Mm.
It's such a funny story. It's basically Steven Wilson just making a joke, kind of ironically making an album to sound edgy and just like yeah, it's a weird story. It's such a weird album. It has these spoken word parts in it where there's like one of the songs is called, what is it? Message over an explosive turnip, and it's just like 20 seconds of this message will self-destruct in five, four, and it's just very, very strange. And then space transmission is like God saying that the sun has stopped shining, and what, I don't know, an incredibly weird album, but I love it. Yeah, a song on there that I think is still really good is Nine Cats. That's a song that he still occasionally plays live.
Like even listening to this part right here where it sounds like you're kind of going down that space mountain tunnel or something like that, where you're very that transience we're talking about, where it just feels
Hmm.
like you're almost kind of in like, I don't know, almost like an 80s goth club a little bit, with just like the get up and the atmosphere it has with it, which, 80s goth club and prog rock, not two things that you usually put together a whole lot.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if this was like 10 or 20 beats faster, it's like a drum and bass
Yeah,
rhythm
yeah, yeah.
almost. It's yeah, it's weird. Such an haunting atmosphere. Like, yeah, the pills that I've been taking confuse me. It's like, yeah, the whole ADHD thing and giving kids pills to stay calm and to be complacent. Fuck. Yeah, the drums, just ridiculous. How expressive they are.
Exactly. Yes,
Hmm.
with everything else just kind of like floating there and hanging, it's like the drums are foreshadowing, saying like, don't go anywhere because even though we're kind of floating here, we're not going to be doing stuff for very long.
Yeah, yeah. Then just massive wall of synths,
That's like
great bass sound.
Cults of Luna right there, almost like you can
Yeah,
see
yeah,
where they
yeah.
get it from.
This part, by the way, is what I was talking about.
Yes.
The
So
song that, or the part that comes on now is the most beautiful part of the album. After this, the the vibe really switches.
this one is called Surfer as part. There are three parts
Yeah,
in this song, and yeah, dude, it just like textures on this part and just complete like still the same song, but completely different. Like that ding, just that one little. Oh my god.
yeah. The production is always ridiculous. Anything that Steven Wilson does is, yeah, the best sound you'll ever hear.
And the
Yeah, the
vocal
massive
layerings
vocal
too.
harmonies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, just oh my god. But like, how do you try and get that huge sound with just three musicians playing their instruments? I don't know if you can even
yeah,
answer that question. You know?
yeah. No, but it is a good question because I've actually kind of accepted a long time ago that we're never going to sound as full as a five-piece band. So just have better musical ideas, I guess, was kind of the solution to that. Just make sure that even if a riff is played with one guitar live instead of five on an album, it should still just be an amazing riff and it's gonna be good enough, right? But aside from that, we have a brilliant sound guy. He's been with us since pretty much the start of this band. His name is
Mm.
Victor, and yeah, he helps us design everything from drum sounds to guitar sounds. He experiments a lot with different mics, and yeah, now as well transitioning to a digital amp with this record is a very big change for me. But he's also helped me make all of the sounds, so I think a lot of credit to him, to our live engineer.
Are you able to kind of explain the difference in going from a physical setup to a more like digital setup, other than the fact that like, well, you're not plugging in amps, you're just like plugging into a DAW and through a computer. Like, what is the like for you? I guess what was the biggest difference and hurdle that you had to get through from doing it a certain way for so long?
Yeah, I think I was kind of stuck, or maybe I had reached everything I could do with the amp I had. I had been playing a Marshall JVM for 15 years or so,
Mm.
and I loved it when it came out, and I still really like how it sounds, but it was always pretty limited. Um, and with this new album, it was just clear like it's time to do something else because I'm not gonna get all of these sounds out of this amp. And yeah, I realized that with a digital amp, you literally have any sound in the world, any plugin you can think of, you can use, and it's an amazing feeling of freedom that anything is possible now.
Mm.
Aside from that, it means no longer carrying heavy amps and cabinets.
Yeah,
uh, and it also even means now that there are no more pedals and no more pedal switches because we have everything time coded. So the laptop is running the session and the session switches my amp when it needs to. So
that's cool.
a
Yeah.
lot more freedom on stage to interact with the crowd and yeah, having a lot of fun.
Something you said in a previous interview about how the Psychonaut records are, connected in a way that the next one you said was going to be like a sequel to the other one because you just automatically assume that the next one is going to come after the next one. It'll be like a next, an open, or, a natural extension of what you're doing.
Mhm.
Did that kind of, was that a self-fulfilling prophecy in a little way? Is that kind of how you see World Maker now, or did it kind of go a little bit different than maybe you would have thought it once Violate Consensus Reality came out?
Yeah, I mean, what I do remember that after Violate, we were so burned out on these big world problems and trying to fix everything. It was our COVID album, right? The world was
Right.
messed up. So we were really happy that that was done. And I didn't think that the next album would be about me becoming a father per se, because
Mm.
that's pretty much the basis.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that happened. And when we found out my wife was pregnant, I couldn't really imagine writing about anything else being more important and relevant in my life. So that's how everything started. But in a way, it's the same thing as usual. We write about the things that are most important to us within a certain period of time. And
Hmm.
this album is much more personal, but it's exactly that. It's just what was going on in our lives. And I'm happy with the fact that it's such a different album as well than the previous ones.